Hello, my name is Karina and this is my perfume map. Today I wanted to talk about affordable spring fragrances, maybe some green fragrances for St. Patty's Day. I don't know how you like to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I don't really celebrate it at all, but I did live in Chicago for 3 years and it's a pretty big party there. I think of the Green River and people hitting those Irish pubs like really hard. I promise not to do any of that. I think they actually might dye the canal here green, but I've never been down there. I know there is a St. Patty's Day parade, but you know, I'm kind of an introvert. If, you know, the rest of my family wanted to go, I would definitely go, but I'll probably just be at home. I'll probably forget it's St. Patrick's Day, honestly, but maybe I'll just happen to be wearing a perfume with some green notes in it because I do like wearing them for spring. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is Butterfly by Bath & Body Works. This is not a green fragrance, but this is a very good fine fragrance mist. It has raspberry, it has iris petals, and airy vanilla. I will confess that I've had this for a while. I bought this fragrance when it came out, which I think was like a year or two ago. And usually when I buy fine fragrance mists, what I'll do is buy a bunch of them at once because I'll wait for a sale where they're between $5 and $6. Maybe they're like $4.95 or maybe they're $5.50, but I have like a coupon and I'm getting them for like $4.80 or something. And so I'll buy, I think when I bought this one, I might have bought 12 at once, which sounds excessive, but that's only like $60 if you get the right sale. And sometimes like one or two will just fall by the wayside. I also historically have been a little bit biased against raspberry, so or just berries in general. I used to kind of think that berry fragrances dried down to like a chewed gum smell, but this is really nice. And I have to say that I was kind of forced to relook at it after I heard that Perfume Room interview with Henri Blanc, because she said that she created this and she created Butterfly after her own personal fragrance that she doesn't even sell. It has like a part of that fragrance. Now, if you look at Fragrantica, Henri Blanc's name is attached to the perfume, but not the body mist. I don't know if that's like Fragrantica, or I don't know if like that's like really the situation, but she just said that she created Butterfly for Bath & Body Works, so I don't know what that means. But this is a very tart raspberry with like a powdery iris and then just a touch of vanilla. I don't think I would call this like gourmand necessarily, but maybe, but very tart raspberry. And this is very long lasting and I think a perfect spring fragrance. And I know for sure that it's available right now at Bath & Body Works. The next one I want to show you is an older fragrance from 1973. I think you pronounce it Coriander by Jean Cordier or Couturier. Oh, I'm so sorry. Couturier. Can you see this? Can you see it? It's very stormy today, so we might get a little thunder and lightning in the mix. I had to use a lamp. I don't usually do that. So this is a green sheeper fragrance. Oh my goodness. And it's fantastic. This gets compared to a much more expensive fragrance. I forget which one it is. Gosh, what was it? Well, if you look it up on Fragrantica, and it goes both ways. So like the comparison for the more expensive fragrance shows this one as the number one, and this one shows that more expensive one for number one. Oh, I'm regretting that I didn't write it down. But this is a very green, honey, oak moss, patchouli fragrance, but it is so fresh. This is actually the one I was talking about the other day that I wore it to a baseball game. And this is gonna sound really strange, But this, in the dry down, there's like a journey with this one. So right now when I'm smelling it, it's very, very fresh. But that honey note becomes more and more creamy as I wear it. And this is gonna sound wild, but there's something about this fragrance that reminds me of Love Don't Be Shy. It's almost like, I wonder if Love Don't Be Shy was sort of an experiment on like a chypre, but instead of using like a patchouli or oak moss base, they went with like a marshmallow vanilla-y base. Because there's just something in the florals and the honey here that makes me think of that. Anyway, this is pretty inexpensive. You can get this for under $20, I'm pretty sure, or you could when I bought it. And it's a beautiful green chypre, very fresh spring-like. Okay, and the next one I have, also a nice green color, so we could use this one for St. Patrick's Day, is Believe by Britney Spears. Have you smelled this fragrance? My favorite Britney Spears fragrance has got to be Midnight Fantasy, but this is a very close second, and this is a fruit chuli, but it has guava. Oh my goodness, and it's so sweet, but also earthy. It's extremely long lasting. You get that guava. There's some florals in here, maybe, what is it? I don't know, but it's guava patchouli, and it's so happy. It's so energizing. It's actually perfect on a rainy day, a rainy spring day, if you need a little spring in your step. Very clean smelling, kind of youthful, but not in a way that you might find inappropriate, you know, in any way. It's just, oh, this is really beautiful. Very fresh, very clean, very fruity, and yet patchouli. It's like a perfect mix of fragrances, and I paid $14.99 for this. This is like the 1.7 ounce, but I think even like the 3 ounce is less than $25. I would definitely rebuy. I love wearing this. It's always like the right choice. I've worn it like to an event downtown, and I've worn it. I actually wore it recently. I took my kids to, my husband and I took our kids to like a big arcade, and I just thought I smelled really good. I loved it. The next one I have is, this is a little bit more challenging probably. This is Halston by Halston. This is like the original Halston fragrance. This one was a nostalgia buy for me when I got it, because when I was a teenager, my friend's sister wore this. And this sister she had like this Nissan Z that she had painted like a very sparkly blue, and she used to drive it around, and she didn't have a driver's license. And she went to a lot of parties, and she had like a boyfriend, and I remember she would like be in her room kind of like learning rock songs so she could like sing along at concerts. I was on the swim team, and so was like my friend, her younger sister. Like we were much more innocent than this older sister who wore Halston. And I remember going in her room when she wasn't there with my friend, and I would spritz this on, and I would think, gosh, this is so not me. This was created by Bernard Chant, and there is something about it that reminds me of Lauren by Ralph Lauren. Okay, I forgot I had bread in the oven. So this is Bernard Chant. It's also a floral green, but this is a chypre. But this does remind me of Lauren by Ralph Lauren. If Lauren is the sister who does everything right, then Halston is the black sheep of the family. She smokes, she goes dancing all night, She's doing everything against her parents' best wishes, but still really, really, really beautiful. And I haven't watched the documentary because I think it's on Netflix, which I don't have. But I know it was a pretty popular series. And this is a really nice chypre and very green. Very green, very smoky, very spicy. There's got to be carnation in this. It does kind of remind me of Charlie Blue, but a little bit dirtier. I think Charlie Blue smells pretty innocent compared to this one. But I think you can still get this for a really good price. I want to say under $25 again. And I think it makes a nice spring fragrance. Those green notes, I think, really stand out in the spring. If you're from somewhere like the Midwest or anywhere that has a cold winter where like everything is dead and dry, you kind of look forward to smelling green things again. That's the best, one of the best parts of spring is all of a sudden everything smells fresh. So Halston is a good pick. The next one I have is Kim Kardashian's, I think it's her first fragrance. This is just Kim Kardashian. I got the smaller bottle because this one is a little more expensive, and I think it was like around $18 for the 1.7 ounce. This is kind of well known as sort of a dupe for Gucci Bloom, and I agree, it is pretty close. It has tuberose, jasmine, neroli. There's definitely, or not neroli, but just orange blossom. It has really, really sweet, like tuberose florals with kind of animalic jasmine. And by animalic, I mean it kind of has, there's kind of a barn smell, but not too stanky. It just smells kind of like maybe the fresh alfalfa is in the barn or something, but definitely like a indolic orange blossom jasmine note there. And there's also some sandalwood at the base. And this smells, this could be a vintage fragrance if it had aldehydes and just amber added. So it's kind of right up my alley, but very, very strong sweet florals, very similar to Gucci Bloom. And I know because what intrigued me, the thing that got me interested in Gucci Bloom was I got this little sample. The light is off. It is so dark outside, even though it's mid-afternoon. This is a little sample from a company called Parfum Olio. Like whenever I order something from them, they always send at least one of these samples, and this is their inspired by Gucci Bloom. And I was like, oh wow, I really like that. So I went to Sephora, actually walked over there and smelled Gucci Bloom on like a tester strip, and I was like, yep, I like this. And then I had read that Kim Kardashian is pretty close, so I picked this up, and so far I'm really enjoying it. There's nothing about it that I don't like, and it actually, if you like Kim Kardashian Honey, it has like that same honeysuckle note that is in Honey. It's similar, and it's the same perfumer, Claude Dur. The next one I have is one of those fragrances that I think is like just really, really underrated. I think it's pronounced volupte, and I don't know if that's voluptuous or what, but this is from 1992. It has a really lame bottle compared to the fragrance. I think if this was rebottled and also renamed, like I would rename it like fruit. What would I rename this? Maybe like powdered fruit, or like fruit spirit. Maybe fruit spirit. It would be a hit today, I think, because it's such a smart fragrance because it's by Sophia Grossman. It kind of smells like exclamation or even Gloria Vanderbilt, but the base is like patchouli and incense. And for 1992, it's perfect because I remember in the 90s, I started smelling these kinds of fragrances more and more. And I think they all probably were Sophia Grossman because I stopped smelling so many aldehydic, like super strong tuberose fragrances from the 80s, you know, like Giorgio and Poison and all that stuff. And they started smelling creamier, that certain type of sandalwood, peach, but this one has like incense and patchouli, which is kind of grungy. It kind of went with like the grunge. There was kind of like a sort of hippie, but like it was more like a grungy hippie thing going on in the 90s. You know, if you think about like Grateful Dead was touring a lot and Fish, and there was kind of just this style that was taking pieces from like the 60s, but it was twisting it up with like garage bands and stuff like that. And this is perfect. This is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Every time I wear this, I'm like, why don't I wear this every day? Peach, fruit with patchouli and incense. Not a fruit chili like we think of them today. Way smoother and way deeper. Like a deep, creamy, fruity incense fragrance. And pretty inexpensive. This is Oscar de la Renta. See, it's kind of better if I do have the box because then I can tell you more. Oscar de la Renta Volupte. Weird bottle. Awesome fragrance. The next one I'm going to show you is just a sample. And it is from Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. Do you know Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab? They're a pretty popular indie house. I would say like they're one of the top ones. Like Alchemia, Solstice Scents, Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. This one's called Maiden. And this is a rose. This is rose, tea, and carnation. It is so bright and uplifting. If you don't like rose, I think the combination of the tea and the carnation will maybe change your mind. Because if you liked a rose, lychee, peppery kind of smell, it's like that, but more natural smelling. Really, that white tea smell is so fresh, right? So you have a really fresh rose with carnation, very peppery and very spring-like. Beautiful. Maiden. Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. This is one of my favorite fragrances too. Mackie by Bob Mackie. If you like tuberose, if you like the bubblegummy, dry cleaner smelling tuberose, this is one of the greatest. There's not a lot of people talking about this, but I feel like when somebody does talk about it, they're like, yeah, this is a total gem. So bazooka gum. It's like just pure bazooka gum. It's got peach in it. And a ton of tuberose. I think a man or a woman could wear this definitely. I like this one so much that I do kind of tend to overspray it, and it can kind of get intense. Like that tuberose can become too much. But there's something about it that makes me kind of insatiable. And I think this is under $20. Really weird bottle. Really good juice. Very double bubble with fresh laundry and peach. Strange. But I mean, tuberose seems to be kind of having a moment, right? And I have smelled some of the kind of high-end tuberose, BDK, Diptyque, and I like this one the best. This is like one of my favorite tuberose, especially if you're not trying to smell super floral, but you like that kind of old school bubblegum smell. The next one I have is Kim Kardashian Honey. We talked about the Kim Kardashian fragrance, and this is Honey. A lot of people have talked about this. The perfumer's Claude Durr. He also made Mediterranean by Elizabeth Arden, which I think smells very, very similar. Except for this one's honey, and that one's a little more salty, but like the base notes smell the same, the floral notes. So this is really like a honeysuckle fragrance. There is a little bit in the base that has that kind of rubbery smelling, kind of synthetic wood smell, which I usually am kind of turned off by, but it goes really well with this fragrance. So as long as you're not hypersensitive to that, I think you'll like this. This is very honeysuckle, more honeysuckle than honey. Like a lot of old school honey fragrances are very animalic. Like I don't get anything animalic from this. It's just honeysuckle and a soft woody note and something maybe slightly indolic, but barely. I mean, this would be like a beginner indolic fragrance. Very nice honey, very nice spring-like scent. Give it a try. And the final one is one I've talked to you about before, and this is Jontue, which I think is so underrepresented in the fragrance world right now. This is mossy, it has florals, it smells like walking in a field. It's kind of slightly spooky smelling, I think, because it has like this wet concrete, which I think I could think of as like a mossy cemetery. It smells so good. It has like vetiver. There's a petrichor like rain note. Definitely get like a wet concrete and flowers. I think you could imagine like walking in the rain and there's flowers, and I don't know, I always think cemetery. That doesn't sound spring-like, but like, I don't know, it might be because I live around a bunch of cemeteries that like, that doesn't sound terribly morbid to say, but a lot of mossy, rainy, floral scents. And a lot of these vintage fragrances, the biggest issue I think really that they're having is that the bottle looks vintage. Like this looks so 70s, right? But the fragrance it's way better than BDK Floral Bouquet. It's similar to Chanel No. 5, but instead of having tons of oak moss in the base, it's more of like a vetiver base. And it's not that rubbery, weird vetiver. It's like it's just a very earthy kind of vetiver, and I love it. So anyway, I had to use the lamp today to try to show these fragrances. I hope this turned out okay. I hope that you're having a great day. I hope it's nice and sunny where you are, not storming and thunder and lightning like it is where I am. And I hope that you have lots of good spring fragrances to bring in a new season, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.